Hi, this is Joe Simon from the Newcastle News, and today we'll be discussing Title IX and the progress and the effect that it's had over the years. We'll be talking with Terry Watters. She's a Laurel track and field girls coach. She's been there for almost 40 years, and she graduated from Shenango in 1969. She didn't get the opportunity to play sports in high school or college because Title IX didn't come into effect yet. For those of you who aren't familiar with Title IX, it was an amendment passed in 1972, and while it didn't specifically mention sports in it at all, it's had its greatest impact there. It's given women equal rights. For example, if there are 5 boys sports, there must be 5 girls sports at a high school or a college. And it's really given women an opportunity to compete and earn scholarships. And that's one of the main things that we'll be discussing today with Terry. And she's been there for 40 years. She's became a coach almost immediately after graduating from high school, and she's been at Laurel ever since. And here's a little bit of what she had to say.
As I started coaching 73, 74, and that was the first year that they had a team of anything. And I can remember we had just won the world in 73, and I had a couple players that told me later that said, "We heard you were going to be our coach. We were so thrilled," because they had read it in a newspaper. I'm like, well, you know, I mean, I was softball, and just because I, was a player, they were ecstatic. So, Stanzada was world champions in USSA slow pitch softball. Wow. 2 years in a row. And the first year I was MVP of the tournament. In fact, Luann, myself, Mary West, and Veronica Funera, we are in the Slow Pitch Hall of Fame in Petersburg, Virginia. In fact, I had one girl that played on a team a couple years after I was done, had gone to Atlanta to the United States Olympics softball, fast pitch. She saw me, she goes, "Terry, I was down there," and she goes, "I'm telling you what, there is no comparison like the way you played." I think that's the reason I like slow pitch so much, because it's such a defense. I mean, everybody hits, and you just have to be so good at defense.
Were there any sports at Shenango when you were in high school?
No, in fact, my senior year, a bunch of us girls got a team together, and we kind of played a senior basketball. We went to Laurel, we went to Mohawk, and that's when they played 6 girls. My junior year, I threw the softball further than anybody in Western Pennsylvania.
Wow.
It was like 210 feet, I can remember that, but that's all we had. When I was little, my dad would be out hitting balls to me in the front yard and having me practice scoop and get in front, and we didn't have that. I'd always have to play catch with my brother because he was a pitcher. Yeah. And every once in a while, they'd let me hit until I got up the bat and hit a home run over center field, and they threw me another one. I hit another home run over center field. It was the 3rd one in a row. They said, "That's it, you're not batting anymore, you're losing all our balls." But I just used to love just to go and play around with them and all that. He started me in golf lessons when I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
Private lessons, and I didn't really develop an interest till I'd say between 10th grade and my junior year in high school.
Interest in sports or interest in golf? Okay.
And then I went out, and I was just a golf course junkie out there. It was nothing for me to play less than, to play 36 holes a day. I'd just keep walking and keep playing. And
was there anyone when you were younger or just getting out of high school who really kind of inspired you to kind of pursue your coaching career?
My father. Yeah. My father was... He was a big influence, my father. But he was the one who got me in sports. Made me. I have a compassion for people, and that comes from my mother. But that competitiveness comes from him. And well, let me see. You can tell he was more proud than I was.
Yeah.
Right after my senior year or so, that we picked up the stands, picked me up. I was 19 when I won the news tournament, and I was playing ball, but there were times I'd be in a tournament playing golf, and then I'd have to run back to a softball game, and sometimes they weren't too happy about that. But
the news tournament, that was the golf tournament?
Yeah, that was in Newcastle. They had it for women back then, and they've discontinued it then, but that was like the big thing to look forward to.
Right.
Well, the highlights of my first year coaching basketball, it was like, we were lucky sometimes if we scored over 5 points in a game. By the time the end of the season came, this was the highlight of my first year, and I think we were playing Mohawk this one, and we ended up beating them like 28-20. We ended up winning. That's how many points we scored. So I graduated from Laurel, had a couple resumes out. There wasn't really anything around. Here a position opened up at the end of July. And Dom asked me to come out for an interview. His position opened up, and he said he followed me around to see my demeanor. Yeah, he asked me to come out for an interview, so I interviewed and then they called me and offered me the position. I'll tell you what, I've met a lot of good people. Touched my life.
How long did it take for Title IX to really get into effect? 'Cause a lot of people said that it didn't happen right away. It took.
Well, I don't think it still is really in effect in a lot of places. I coached at Laurel starting 73-74. This is basketball, and I was off for about 4 years, and my salary was totally not what the guys were getting. That was a big turning point, I think, for Laurel right that year, because when I came back, I interviewed, and the superintendent wasn't going to give me equal pay with the boys back in '88. And I said, how can you not give me what the boys get? I said, we have the same program, I run the same practices, I run the same everything. And, well, girls just aren't going to get, in my lifetime, he said, girls will never get paid what guys get. You know what, I wanted to take the position, I liked the girls, I knew who they were, and I said, well, I'll take the position, but deep down inside I felt, you know what, I'm going to take it and I'm going to file Title IX against them. Because by that time, more people were talking. And all of a sudden I get a phone call from him, and he says, Terry, we've decided we're going to pay you just what the boys get at this level because, you know, after all, you have the same blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, really? I says, okay, well, fine, thank you. And after that, then I think things started to change around as far as equality for pay and stuff like that. I was the first track coach at Laurel and the first basketball coach, and I coached basketball for 27 years. Through that time, I've coached a total of 11 years of volleyball and 39 years of track, and that's when the sport started in '73, '74 around this area.